We're good.
All right, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Anderson. I am the new golf lead for Special Olympics Maryland. For those of you who don't know me, I've been on staff for a little over 4 years now. I was a unified partner in golf for the last 2 years, and with Tommy George's exit, I am taking over as the golf lead. Here's the agenda for tonight. I'm not going to read through this, but you can see what we're going to go through. Golf mailing list. So Tommy had a very extensive golf mailing list. We are still trying to actually access that contact list off of his old email. Have not been able to do it yet, but should be able to do it no problem. If not, I will send a note out to this group and to the areas just to send me emails of anyone that you know wants to be added. But don't do that just now. If anyone on this call is not included on that list, feel free to contact me and we'll add you on once we're able to gain access to that list. Or if you know anyone who is not on it that would like to be on it, feel free to send me that note as well. We will be sending out regular communications that will include score updates, tee sheets for qualifiers, information on who's qualified for the state competition, just to name a few things. And again, it's open to all coaches, athletes, unified partners, caddies, area county support staff, families. It's open to anyone who gets the information they assist or may be useful for. I'm getting some background noise, so if you're on the call, please hit *6 to mute your line. You will have an opportunity. I'll remind everyone to unmute at the end of the call, but if everyone could just mute their line, I'm getting a good amount of feedback right now, so *6, please. All right, golf management team, 2016 golf management team. This is the group. It's Matt Anderson, Mike Cumberpatch, Jim Hawkins, Chuck Helmuth, Bill Lowe, Marty Parks, and myself. What we're going to do is we're really going to dive into the sport of golf, see how we can, better coordinate training opportunities just past what we have now, maybe gaining access to equipment or better equipment for golfers across the state, hopefully growing the number of qualifiers we have through partnerships with courses and hopefully with the local USGA chapters, and then we will ensure that the 2016 state golf tournament is up to the very high standard that's been set already in the past and hopefully well exceeds that this year through recruiting officials, recruiting volunteers, just getting us anything together that we may need for that competition. Again, I'm still getting a good bit of feedback, so if you could please hit *6 if you are currently unmuted, that would be great. All right, head coach certification. Coaches must be certified within Special Olympics in their sport, and if you are certified, if you have been certified in the past, you can simply renew that just by getting any general or learning, general course or a specific course as well, but that specific course would only renew you for the sport of golf. Coaches who have not had any previous coach certifications would have to get coaching Special Olympics athletes as well as their sport-specific course. The in-person training for this year, as I mentioned, it is, that says Saturday. Hold on one second. No, I want to confuse anyone. That's my mistake. Oops. Is Sunday, August 14th. I apologize for that. It is from 9:30 until 12 at Blue Mash Golf Course in Laytonsville, Maryland. It's open to all athletes, coaches, unified partners, and caddies. This will count as one of your sports-specific trainings for head coaches who need to be certified. I will send a link in the follow-up email to this presentation. It is limited to 50 individuals. It is first come, first serve. What we simply ask is if you have been to this training within the last year or two, maybe to not necessarily sign up right away. If we do not hit that 50 individual limit, I will send out an email, at which point feel free to sign up. But if you have been within the last 2 years, if you could maybe consider allowing another individual to get that training opportunity, because it is a very detailed, very hands-on training opportunity. Again, the link for that will come out in a follow-up email. Here's the tentative schedule. Again, this is tentative. I still have a few things to work out both with the golf course and with our USGA representatives, but we will have check-in. There'll be a welcome and an SOMD golf overview that will be done by myself and by Mike Cumberpatch. There'll be a question and answer session with USGA rules officials. There'll be introduction training at the practice facility at Blue Mash with Blue Mash professionals and some USGA professionals. And then we will dismiss around 11:30, and lunch may be provided. We're not sure about that yet. We have in the past. We just need to make sure that everything is all good with our budget before we can say that for sure. Oops, there's one mistake there. This is the golf registration deadlines, and the dates are not correct. All right, so if everyone can just bear with me for 1 second, I'm just going to do a quick update to those. Sorry about that, folks. I pulled something and didn't realize it. So actually, if anyone has any questions related to golf, if you want to go ahead and unmute while I do this real quick and fire away, and I can answer those questions for you, and then we can get back on track here. So any questions about anything so far, or anything the group would like to share?
Nick, this is Barbie Pullen. I'm doing the skills athletes for Upper Shore. This training session, is it for skills coaches as well?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of information that's presented there that would be very beneficial to skills coaches. So yes, you are absolutely welcome to come.
Okay.
And if you have never come before, I would highly suggest it. It's a very, very good training course.
Okay.
Has anyone who's been in recent years, would anyone like to comment on that, on the training course, maybe provide some additional information that I have not mentioned?
This is Al Minard. I was pretty sure that I was at the last one over at Waverly Woods.
Yep, that was last year.
Run very well. They not only gave us a class instruction regarding a lot of the key rules that we tend to overthink or forget about, as well as they gave us some putting instruction. They gave us chipping instruction, as well as instruction out on the driving range. So they had quite a setup for us, and it was very well done.
Awesome. Thank you, Al. All righty. Sorry about that, folks. Let's get back on track here. All right, back to coaches trainings. The previously discontinued, I guess we'll say, coaching Special Olympics golf course that was offered by ASEP is now available again. I believe, if I remember correctly, last year and maybe the year before, but definitely last year, it was not available. It will be available again this year. And the course is, I downloaded it myself today. The course is $50. Again, SMD will reimburse you $20 of it. The link is there, so you'll be able to access that when this is sent out if you'd like. But since I did purchase it today and briefly look through it, there are 3 sort of components to the course, and all 3 of which are downloadable, so you don't necessarily have to sit at your computer and look at them. You can download them and then print them out. There's the ebook for the actual course, which is the Coaching Golf Successfully, is the title of that book is. It also comes with the Successful Coaching ebook, which is actually the same coaching book that you receive or work your way through when you take the Principles of Coaching class, for those of you who have been taking that. And then you also get a Coaching Concepts PDF document. So it is expensive, but you do get a considerable amount of material when you purchase that training course. So I would highly encourage anyone who is interested to take advantage of that opportunity. In addition to this, there aren't any additional opportunities. So for those of you who are not able to get to the training course, the in-person training course, this would be your next best option. Concussion certification. So this started as of January 1st of this year. It is required by Special Olympics Incorporated and Special Olympics North America. It's required for all coaches. That's not just head coaches, but that's head coaches and assistant coaches. Golf is unique where there really aren't assistant coaches, and Unified Partners serve sort of as that coaching role. At this time, it is not required for Unified Partners, so it would just be your head coach and any assistant coaches you have. They must have this concussion certification. There's two ways to work through it. I've done both myself. They both have essentially the same information. It's just how it's presented. I would say one is more, the 30-minute one is more reading through it. The 45-minute one has more videos. So it just depends on which one you would prefer to do. We currently do not have the ability to authorize additional courses outside of the CDC and the National Federation of High School Sports courses, so you would have to take one of those. The good thing is both of those are free. And then once you've completed that, you need to submit evidence of completion. You'll get a completion certificate. It's a PDF. You would email that to coaches@somd.org. So you would have to let us know. You'd have to email that to us for us to know, because we do not automatically get notified who completes that course. It's not directly through us. And then that concussion certification is valid for 3 years. A quick rules reminder, there are 3 things in talking with Mike Cumberpatch, who serves as our head official, that he mentioned were the 3 things that they typically see the most violated at competitions. Not just ours, but competitions in general. Well, one of them would be specifically us, but the first and third are competitions in general. And that's grounding of the club in a sand trap. If you play alternate shot stroke play, so that's when, you know, the Unified Partner hits and then the athlete hits, or vice versa. Hitting out of turn is something that they frequently see, so just remember to keep track of, or have your athletes and Unified Partners keep proper track of who teed off on which holes, as well as who hit the most recent shot. And then the one that Mike wanted me to note as the one that he has seen violated the most over the last few years is a missed swing counts as a stroke. So once you've approached the ball, if you make an attempt to hit it, it counts. I know that's tough for some of our athletes and for some of our Unified Partners as well. You get nervous. You don't necessarily concentrate the most, but the second you have approached the ball and attempted a swing, that needs to be counted as a stroke. So just make sure that you emphasize that with your athletes and partners. In the past, we have abided by the rules set up in place by the Special Olympics golf rules of the score eligibility and the maximum entry average. So I don't have it written down here, but I have the numbers in front of me. That is for level 2, you would have an average of 75 or lower on 9. For level 3, that's 120 or lower on 9, or 18 holes, excuse me. Level 4 is a stroke average of 70 or lower on 9 holes, and level 5 is an average of 120 or lower on 18 holes. and that's just directly out of the Special Olympics golf rules. So in the past, if there were teams or individuals who shot over those stroke numbers, they would just be competing for participation ribbons at the state tournament. We've decided to go ahead and get rid of that. Anyone, even if they shoot over those stroke numbers, will receive a place of finish ribbon or medal or ribbon. However, they will not be eligible for any advanced competition. So if there's an entire division in level 2 that shoots over 75, well, they will receive the place of finish where they finish in their division. However, if they receive a gold, they will not be eligible to advance to an NIT, National Games, World Games, whatever the competition may be, because these score, the maximum entry averages are set in place by SOI. The score standard is still a very good guideline for determining which level of golfers should compete at. So definitely, just because we're going to give place of finish for people over those numbers, don't throw them out the window. Don't not pay attention to them. It's definitely a very good way to tell whether an athlete should be maybe playing down a level, or it doesn't really help you when playing up a level, but it's definitely a good measure of if they should be playing down a level or not. But you know, we are going to go ahead and award place of finish, even if anyone shoots over that. Just please be aware, and maybe make that team aware that they will not be eligible to advance if they were to win a gold medal. Any questions on that? Oops, excuse me. Any questions on that, since that is a change from previous years? Oops. Where are we? I accidentally skipped ahead. There we go. Does anyone have any questions on that scoring eligibility maximum entry average, the change that we've done there? Nope.
Hey Nick,
all right.
Chuck. Hey Nick,
Hey,
Chuck Helmet.
Yep.
On for the state tournament, that'll work because you guys start early enough. But some of the regular tournaments, you know, they'll finish in the dark. They won't finish if they're that bad.
So these are golfers who would have already been competing throughout the season anyways. By us deciding to award place of finish, or there's not. In theory, yes, a team could decide to add a golfer or two because we're not going to abide by that, and they will win a medal, or they will win an award, I should say. But these are golfers who are already competing. It's just that if they're over the maximum entry scores, they would have received a participation ribbon at our tournament. But they would have already been competing throughout the season. So it shouldn't change too much with the way that the local.
So on a local level, we can still enforce the rules.
Yeah, you can, but they would have. You can, but at the same time, you're not going to pull someone. If somebody hits the 75 as their stroke limit on level 2 and they're on the 8th hole, you're not going to pull them off. You're going to go ahead and let them.
Oh no, I'm not going to pull them off.
Round.
I'm just not going to let them go out unless I've seen them shoot lower than the 75. If they don't shoot lower than the 75 in practice, I'm not going to let them be level 2.
Right. If it's your golfer and that's what you would like to do, then you absolutely have the right to decide that as a coach.
Yeah, and hi, this is Mike Gronowski. Let me just jump in for a second. What you're describing, I think, is exactly on point. That and that's what that last bullet that Nick has there is that it's use those as a guideline. What we're trying to avoid, which has happened each of the last 2 years, is the week before the tournament, a team or a golfer who was right at the edge, their handicap because of the last tournament or whatever goes over that number or goes over that handicap or that handicap, and then they're suddenly out. So you should still be using this. This is not to encourage you to take athletes who are not prepared or wouldn't otherwise be prepared to be at a level 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and then suddenly put them there. Again, use that as the guideline, but We just don't want to get into the situation we've been in the last couple of years where, again, a week or so before the state tournament, suddenly that athlete's no longer eligible, or that team is no longer eligible because of their last round that they had.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
That
clarifies it for me, Mike.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mike. That should have cleared it up for everyone in case anyone did have questions, but does anyone else have questions on that, since that is something that we're changing this year?
I would just recommend that we make sure we remind everybody that of the 10 level score, make sure they are picking up at 10.
Well, could you say that again, Al, please?
The maximum stroke per hole. So just making sure as
Yes.
a reminder.
Okay. Yes. Sorry, I got confused there for a second. Yes. That's a good point. Just so everyone remembers, if you've reached 10 on any hole, no matter what the hole is, no matter what the par of the hole is, it's a 10x at that point. And please note, don't just put a 10. There's a difference between a 10 and a 10x. So you need to put a 10x on your scorecard. If you get the ball in on the 10th stroke, perfect. Put a 10 down. But if you have not gotten the ball in the hole after that 10th stroke, it needs to be a 10x on your scorecard. Thank you for bringing that up, Al.
Yes,
All right.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Tom McGuire, golf coach for Carroll County. Now, last year at one of our qualifiers, I had an athlete who was basically registered level 3 because he played with his father, but his father couldn't make it, so they allowed him to re-register right then and there as a level 1 to go back to skills. Should that have been allowed?
No, but at the same time, if the athlete is there and for whatever reason their partner is not there, I can understand why an area may have made that decision, but no, that should not happen. If it's past the competition registration deadline, then the athlete should not change levels. Now, during the season, they play their first tournament, and you realize this golfer is not ready for level 2 or level 3 or level 4, whatever it may be, then yes, you can move them down a level at that point as long as it's prior to the competition registration deadline, and as long as they still play in 2 qualifiers at that point. But no, just because a unified partner does not show up, they should not just have had their level changed.
I would also question going from a course play level back to a skill.
Yes, yeah, I would agree, unless they get out there and as a team they shoot a 90 with the unified partner doing most of the positive strokes. That would be about the only situation. But yes, I would agree. All right, moving on. Golf qualifiers. So far, we have only received a sanction form for one qualifier. That is August 21st at Compass Point. Anne Arundel County is hosting that qualifier. There are 2 qualifiers that we've been notified of but have not yet received sanction forms for. That is Montgomery County on September 4th and Frederick on September 11th. If you know your area is hosting a qualifier, please contact your area director and have them complete a sanction form and submit it to me as soon as possible. If your area is listed here as not one of the areas that has a sanction form, please get in contact with your area director and make sure they get that to me as soon as possible. We just want to make sure that we get all the qualifiers on the schedule as early as possible so teams have the ability to plan out their season.
Chuck Helmuth again.
Go ahead, Chuck.
We've been doing this for 15 years, and we've never filled out a sanction form.
Well, you'll need to fill one out from now on because one should have been filled out in the past.
Huh? Tommy never even mentioned it.
Tommy may have been working straight with the area director, but I can't comment on that. But one will need to be filled out.
All right, and the area director will know what a sanction form is?
Yes.
Because I don't even know what it is.
That's Jim. It's Jim Kirshner, Baltimore County. Well, what is a sanction form? What does that mean exactly?
A sanction form it's a form that Mike, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm on, but I have to get on my other call in about 2 minutes.
Okay, so I just wanted you to
Sure.
and back me up on this if I say anything wrong.
Okay.
As far as I know,
If folks could please mute your phones, again, *6, or use your own mute function. A sanction form, it's an information piece. It just provides the information about what the tournament is. It's not very elaborate. The area director, it also ensures that the area director is aware that the tournament is being held. We use it to provide information to other folks who may be wanting to attend, but it's a one-pager. Nick, we can forward that, the most current version of that, to folks. It's not very elaborate, but the big thing is that it needs to either be signed by or acknowledged by the area director so that the area director of ABC County doesn't suddenly have events going on that they have no idea about, which has happened. So,
and it's a document that's existed for I don't even know how long. I've seen versions of it come to me that have employees listed on it that haven't been employed here in 10 years. So
yeah.
It has been around for a while, so some of the long-standing area directors will definitely know what it is. It is on my SOMD under the coaches tab, but I will also include a blank copy of it on the follow-up email.
Yeah, and more than likely your area director, Chuck or Jim, has filled that out on your behalf and you just weren't aware of it.
Hello, this is Alicia James. I'm calling from PG County. And so we're interested also in having a qualifier, so I'll make sure that Trish Miles sends ours in.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Again, so if any other areas are interested, just please get in contact with your area director. Make sure that they submit that form. You can feel free to go ahead and send me the date and just let me know that the sanction form will be coming separately. I will make a note of it on our sports calendar. If you come across the calendar and it shows on the calendar, it says, currently right now our sports calendar says Montgomery County, and I don't think I've added the Frederick County one, so that's my mistake. But the Montgomery County one says tentative. So Chuck, if you see that by chance, that's why. Once we receive the sanction form, that tentative note will be removed and everything is good to go. So if you have dates, feel free to send them to me. Don't everyone shout them out right now. Feel free to send them to me in an email later, and I will add them to our calendar as tentative until we receive the sanction form. 2016 SOMD Golf Championship, so it's October 2nd. Again, we're back at Queenstown Harbor. The events offered, again, are the individual skills competition and then stroke play levels 2 through 5. The estimated participants, of course, anything could happen. Hopefully, we do not have any issues with weather. We are working on a weather date. We do not currently have it. Once we have an inclement weather date, it will be announced immediately to everyone, just so you can get it on your calendars, just in case. '16 Special Olympics Golf NIT. Again, it is September 29th through October 2nd, so it does run through our state tournament. It is in Port St. Lucie, Florida, at the USGA Golf Club, PGA Golf Club, PGA Village. Team Maryland representatives were selected from athletes and unified partners who received gold medals in the 2014 and 2015 state championships. So for those of you who are wondering, maybe didn't see the initial email that was sent out, and they're wondering why we did both years. Well, there was a significant number of scratches in 2015 due to the rain date and the makeup or the rescheduling of the tournament. So we went ahead and went back to the 2014 numbers as well for medalists as well. Team Maryland has the fourth largest delegation in attendance, which we are very proud of. There are a number of states that you would think would be large golf playing states that we have larger delegations than, so that's something we can be very proud of. And this year, Matt Anderson, Chuck Hellmuth had been our long-standing HOD. Chuck has decided to step aside this year, and we are very happy to have Matt Anderson from Frederick County serving in that role. We actually made the selection earlier last week, I should say, and that information will be sent out within the next day or two. So be on the lookout for that as a golf coach. It should work its way down from your area director to you if you have someone selected. Okay, open floor. Any questions, anything you want to discuss, anything at all?
Nick, I have one. After attending the Golf National Invitational, one thing we need to make sure that we address as the state and the county is any athlete that is unable to walk their round of golf, they need to ensure that their families get the appropriate medical documentation in to have them be able to ride a golf cart for permanent competitions like an invitational.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. And one thing, the only thing I would note there is, Al, that is absolutely right, but it is, I know the NIT has some issues where there are people who submit them when they actually are fully capable of walking the course and may just not want to. So the one thing I would say to that is
there's a difference between being able to walk 8 to 9
yes.
holes, but not 3 days of walking 9 holes at 90-degree temperature. So, and I have issues with the way they ran this last National Invitational because multiple athletes became injured because they did not make an exception to some of that, and they did not make any allowances for stuff. And most of the states were unaware of the requirement to have that medical documentation in because of having to walk those courses. Most people didn't know it. So I just want to make sure that people are aware that they're going to a national invitational or national competition, the expectation is they're going to walk those rounds.
Yes, that is correct. That's actually in the Special Olympics rules that you are supposed to walk and not use a golf cart, but many areas make an exception and allow golf carts just for simple timing purposes. You know, we would be unable to have the amount of golfers that we have competing in one day if everyone had to walk the course. So we make that exception at a local state level, but in the rules it does state that they are to walk the course. Any other questions, discussion topics, anything at all?
Hey, well, just Al and for other people, this is Chuck Hellmuth. Last year we had a big meeting of the coaches, the HODs, and I made a point that, you know, maybe Friday the people are too tired that are just getting there. It should be all carts. Sunday people want to leave, so it should be all carts. And maybe if they're saying that you got to walk, you should walk on Saturday. That was generally voted positively by the coaches that were sitting there, but I haven't heard anything subsequent from the NIT people.
Yeah, we've not received the new sports rules, 2016 sports rules for golf. So I guess there could be a note in there about that. But it is a rule of golf that the course is to be walked. So not just Special Olympics golf, tournament golf in general, royal and ancient rules for golf state that the course should be walked.
Correct.
Any additional questions?
be talking too much, but Chuck Helmuth again. You said at the beginning of the thing that we were talking. What was one of the things I was trying to push over the last couple of years. There's some of the counties that, like Howard County and Montgomery County, that could come up with a bunch of clubs and bags to give to other counties, and there's other counties I've seen at the state tournament that certainly need clubs and bags, and there wasn't ever a coming to the minds as to how to get the bags from point A to point B.
So if you have extra golf clubs and golf bags that you would like to donate to other counties, Chuck, just simply let me know, and it's something that can be included in one of the regular communications out to the golf group.
All right.
Talk
What
about
I was trying to get Tommy to do last year is pick a, like for our tournament on September 4th at Rattlewood, if he could send over the Special Olympics state van, and I could just tell everybody, bring your extra clubs, and then there might be, 10, 15 sets of clubs that would be donated that could then be taken back to the state office and then disseminated to the counties that need clubs.
Yeah, that's something we can talk about offline. There's some logistical stuff on our end, mainly space to hold said clubs and bags, but we can definitely talk about that, Chuck. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Nick, Bob Muller.
Yep, go ahead.
From Howard County. One quick comment to the fellow just mentioned there in Howard County. I've been in the program, this is my third year in skills, and every year so far we've had to scramble and start making phone calls to get enough sets of clubs for the new people coming in. So we do not have we have a lot of very large professional level drivers, but we don't have bags, we don't have a great deal of clubs, and certainly not sets. And in fact, it's been a challenge. We are a big group, but we have 24 skills players this year, with I think 10 of them were new, and some of them needed them, some of them outgrew the old ones. So that's not a given. That just goes for a large group that we have that many clubs. But we certainly would be willing to help out where we can. But
yeah,
my other questions on the skills competition, on the pitching area. I've seemed to see some inconsistency between the states and the qualifiers about whether a tee is allowed to be used for that. And I haven't been able to find anything specific that says you must hit from a mat or you must use a tee, or that there's a variable in the actual documentation.
That is a very good question. The way that I have always, having just taken over, just briefly reading through the rules, and then actually having seen skills done at some competitions, my impression or understanding is that you are always supposed to hit from the mat, but I cannot say that for sure that it actually states that in the rules. So that's something that I can look through the rules with a fine-tooth comb over the next day or two and include in the follow-up.
Yeah, because
a lot of counties have been using the tees.
Yeah.
What the reason it started is because at the Nationals they used tees.
They've used this is Matt Anderson. They've used tees at USA Games in 2014 and 3 different NITs that I've been at. They've always allowed tees. We've allowed it at our county qualifiers as well.
Then if they're allowing tees, then I would say that is allowable.
I mean, it's not mandatory. If the athlete wishes to hit off of the ground or off of the mat, if the mat's available, they can do so. But
yes, at the States last year, they asked each individual if they wanted a tee or hit off the mat.
Yeah,
it goes in with the athlete's choice and giving them the ability to, make the decision or have as much control over play as they can, which is what we want. But in the interest of, it's skills. So there's been a little bit of wiggle room allowed in that one area.
Yeah, I would say it's just simply athlete preference at that point. You know, over the course of the season, whatever you or your athlete feels most comfortable with, that's what I would go with.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you for the question.
Hey, Nick, this is Pence Potter from Anne Arundel County. This is a potential suggestion, and it probably would vary with the rules, but you talked about in the beginning of this thing about some of the problems we have grounding the club, whiffs, and all that kind of stuff. I would really like to see a level 2 A and B, okay? A's would be for athletes, it's their first year out of skills into alternate shot. Most of them wouldn't have a clue about grounding the club. And the other thing that disturbs a lot of them is they whiff, and so you say, no, step back, I have to hit now. But I didn't hit the balls. I didn't hit the ball. My thing would be to let them whiff, but count it each time. So the stroke still counts, but let them swing until they make contact with the ball. This would be strictly for the A's. The B's, by then they should understand, but I've seen a lot of that. I mean, one of the first years of the team we played, the kid walked into the trap and literally moved his ball around with his club until it was in a good position, and then played from there. I mean, there's exaggerations like that, and but if we had a way to have a step into the level 2, I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that finally can play well enough to play with a partner, but they really don't, they don't know that part of it. And I'm telling you, I've had experiences where the athlete was kind of upset when I said, no, you have to step back. It's my turn. Anyway, it's a thought.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Last year while playing, I had a very similar conversation through one of my rounds with a unified partner and parent of his playing partner, his son, who's an athlete, from Baltimore County, sort of discussing how that same is just an essential thing. If an athlete just moves up or an athlete's just learning the game of golf, there are a number of rules that can be very hard to understand why they are rules. So hence what I'm going to say to you is what I'd like you to do, if this is something you've thought about, feel free to go ahead and write up what you think those levels should be and send that to me and the group that I mentioned at the beginning, which is the Golf Sports Management Team. We are meeting next week, and if you want to go ahead and get that to me, maybe by the end of this week or Monday or Tuesday of next week, that's something that I can present to that group, and we can talk through it. Now, I can't promise anything would happen for this season, especially because, where we are in the season at this point, but that's definitely something that group would look at and determine what to do with that suggestion.
I hate to say it, there's actually playing partners that don't understand anything about grounding in the club too, but that's another whole thing.
Yeah.
That, and we still have the issue of the alternate shot doing the last putt. I mean, I can remember a number of years ago, before Tommy even started, the woman that was running it then, she gave a speech before we went to play, and she says, remember, it's alternate shot until it's in the hole. And I watched the guy, he missed his putt and walked up and tapped it in. And, I mean, it's minor, but it's just, we need consistency,
Yep, absolutely. It is alternate shot. You have to remember, you never hit twice back-to-back on the same hole. I will say that you never hit twice back-to-back on the same hole.
It's easier if you say you never swing twice.
Yeah.
Okay, you never, fair enough, you never swing twice back-to-back on the same hole.
What is the actual penalty for doing that?
You never tee off. Yes, there is a penalty, and you never tee off twice on consecutive holes. But
right.
There are some people that, and it's understandable. I've had to sit at the end of a hole and sit there and think to myself, now, did I just tee off on that last hole, or did my partner Nick tee off on that last hole? Because a lot happens on a hole sometimes. But
I did it. I did it last year. I walked up and as far as I'm concerned, I DQ'd myself and my partner because I was very unhappy with the way I played the last hole when I was focusing on that instead of focusing on, even odd hole,
Yep. Yes, I absolutely understand.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. So if they should never tee off on consecutive holes ever?
Ever. Never ever. So if the athlete tees off on hole 1, then the athlete tees off on every odd hole. So then that means, 1, 3, 5, so on and so forth, depending on how many holes.
Regardless of how the previous hole ends.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep, if it's hole number 2 and I tee off, but yet, or that's not a good point. If it's hole number 1 and my partner tees off and I finish that hole, well then I'm still teeing off on hole 2.
Okay.
And the same as if the let's say the athlete whiffs, he has to step aside and go, but it's just as if he hit on the first. Whoever takes the first stroke on the hole cannot take the first stroke on the next hole.
Yep. Any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the call tonight. I look forward to seeing everyone throughout the season. Look for the slide deck within the next day or two. There are some additional slides past the slide on the screen now that covers forms, all the forms that everyone has already seen, the medical form, volunteer form, incident report, things like that. So if you have any questions about that or haven't seen any of those forms before, feel free to look at the slides past this slide in the slide deck. We're not going to cover them here tonight. But if anyone has any questions throughout the season, before I send this out, at any point in time, feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm here to help you. Now, I can't promise, being that this is my first year, that I'll have the answer right away. But if I don't, I will definitely get the answer for you as soon as I can. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.